Hope you're both doing well. I've seen the first two episodes. I think this is so great, this show. If you merely kind of read the synopsis to this and you were to kind of gather it's set in 1922 Russia about a Russian aristocrat who's condemned to house arrest while a revolution's taking place, you wouldn't think of it being too kind of comedic. Maybe we're more used to kind of serious productions or delving into kind of history. But this show's got such a really endearing lightness to it and a real wit, which I loved and was quite surprised by. When you guys first read the script, were the show's comedic elements a bit of a surprise to you as well?
Yeah, I love that about the writing. Both Ben Vanstone, who adapted the novel, and also the novel, there is a great wit about the Count and the situations that he finds himself in. And at the same time, there's incredible heartache and heartbreak and in all different sides of his life. So, yeah, I think that's very true of great literature, you know, and so to be able to transpose that to the screen was our mission really, and I think we all did that, which was great.
Yeah, it's incredibly witty and whimsical, and one of my favorite films about Russia is Death to Stalin. So I think, there are examples of, obviously that's much more satirical than what we've done, but at the same time somehow feels like very real in its own way. And I think our show has that element of reflecting true life, and that people are still funny, even in the darkest of times, people who have that kind of sense of humor about them. And the Count he's a funny, charming person, regardless of what's happening around him, and he's fabulous to watch.
Yeah, you must have both been so thrilled these kind of characters came your way, because I mean, Count Rostov is a great character. He's such, like I said, so much wit and kind of charisma. But then Anna as well. There's so much license here to play with. We're real sort of unapologetically kind of glamorous with the kind of role. I just wondered, for both of you, you've had such a myriad of great characters and roles throughout your career, but sometimes you must get one where you just go, yes.
Yeah, I think this was is a role of a lifetime, really. This one, for me, the Count, and I'm lucky to have had a few of those in my career, but this was definitely that. When I read, when I first started talking about it, and then when I read the novel, I was reading the novel knowing that I was going to play the part because I'd read a draft or two, or an episode or two of early drafts, and had spoken with Ben and Tom, the executive producer, Harper, and I was in. So when I was reading the novel, I already knew I was going to be playing the Count, and it was like Christmas time every day, every page, in terms of thinking I'm going to get a chance to play this man,
Oh, the author, I mean, is it Arthur Towles? Have I got that right? Arthur Towles?
Amor, they pronounce his name Amor.
Amor Towles.
Because I read that Amor said the inspiration for the novel was luxury kind of hotels. And I just wondered, kind of given your kind of vocations and lots of kind of traveling for projects and press tours, I imagine you've obviously got to stay in a fair few yourself. Can you see how that was an inspiration to the novel? And was it something you also leaned on as a kind of reference point here?
Yeah, I mean, I can certainly see how that, what a beautiful, brilliant inspiration. And I can see, we know Amor a little bit now, and he's just such a lovely, fascinating man himself. And I think he is fascinated by people. And I could see how he would enter a hotel like that and instantly go, what's the story here? What's the history here? And he would be fascinated and interested in that because of the type of person that he is. So I think it makes complete sense that was the inspiration. But I think for us, you step on set and you're taking from all of the elements combined, and I think the hotel on this series is like a character on the show, so you can't help but be incredibly influenced by being in it and having that beauty kind of envelop everything. And for you, obviously, it's the only place your character is spending any time in, so that's a huge element of the show. But I think it was such a big part of our daily lives and every single scene. So you can't help but be incredibly influenced and inspired by it.
It's funny. I was lucky enough. I stayed in a fancy hotel in Berlin once. I got put up for the European Film Awards, and someone knocked on my door, and there was just a man there who just handed me a single square of chocolate, and then he just walked off to the next room.
Oh my God! It's so sweet,
yeah,
lovely.
Perfect.
It was good chocolate though. I'm liking this kind of recent inclination. I think I watched sort of Napoleon last year as well that did it, to kind of not have actors necessarily speak in the accent of the character they play. As an audience member, I find it very easy to suspend this in that regard. Was that quite a relief to you both? And did you get assurances early on that you wouldn't have to do an accent and you would be able to? I mean, obviously you did accents, but you didn't have to put on a kind of
Russian accent.
No,
right.
it's an old-fashioned convention, I think, And in a way, it reminds me of old, the war films that we used to make in the, I guess they were probably 60s, 70s, but the Germans always spoke with German accents so that we would know they were German, but they were speaking English. It doesn't really make any sense. And in our story, we're in Russia. Everyone would be speaking Russian. It didn't make any sense to do Russian accents. I mean,
Right.
or else we should be doing it in Russian. So the convention was just to find the right voice for each character, and there was a freedom in that. And Sam Miller, our director, is a very modern. He directed that amazing television series I May Destroy You, which was a wonderful piece of work. And he has a very sort of modern tone, and he just wanted to find the right voice for each character, and it didn't matter to him whether it was regional accent or standard English, whatever it was. So that gave us great freedom.
I imagine when working on a project during the kind of shoot, it can be quite kind of all-consuming. When you're both starring on something together, at the end of the working day, like back at home or at the hotel, do you almost have to make a conscious effort to switch off from the project and discuss other things, or do you find you just naturally take work home with you?
I mean, we were in quite a routine on this one. I mean, obviously, Ewan was in every scene and working every day. But it was amazing that because we were shooting on a set, we were able to kind of keep the hours the same. It was really like going to the office, It's sort of at a certain time that he would get off every day, and we'd come home and we'd have dinner and give our baby a bath and put him to sleep, and then have, an hour or two together to like decompress from the day and get ready for the next day. And it just was kind of, that is what it's like when you're working, especially doing a project like this that is so all-encompassing. You don't really have time for anything else, but sort of what your duties are at home, which is to, look after your family and go to work, which keeps things kind of simple in a way. Of course, you're looking forward to the moment where you get to take a little break or have a little holiday or something, but while you're working, you're working. And there's something kind of beautifully simple and straightforward about that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for your time today, guys.
Oh, thanks for speaking to us. Yeah, great
you.
questions. Thank
Nice
you very
to see
much.
you.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys!
Hey, you guys!
Hey you guys!
Hey, that's what they all say.
Hey you guys!
Hey, you guys!